Hi, it's TJ here, and I want to go over some of the best certification tips to help you pass your exam or cert first time around. So let's start with the best one. Book your exam first. So if you're planning to take a certification, whatever you do, book it first. And the reason for this is it cuts out all the BS, it cuts out all the excuses. Now you've got a set deadline to work towards. Now the other thing with this is be reasonable, right? And this is key. What you don't want to do is give yourself so much time you never get around to studying for it. And on the other hand, you don't want to give yourself too little time to actually study and then fail the exam. Because that's going to hit your motivation, it's going to hit your self-esteem, and that's not what you want to do. Rule of thumb usually tends to be give yourself a month. That's kind of like the best thing. 30 days, then you've got 30 days to prep, sit the exam, and you can work towards it. Sometimes you might find it easy, you might do 2 weeks. And look, I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty wild when it comes to certs. I do some crazy stuff. Like when I was creating the Terraform course, I was creating the course content and sat in about 5 days. SysOps administrator sat in 4 days. And I think there's even one I've literally done the same day. It wasn't an AWS, it was an Apple cert. It's a very basic one, but that was same day. But I know if I set myself 2 weeks, I'm going to spend that first week doing nothing. And then that second week, I'm going to do all the work. So I found for me, if I set myself like a week, then I know I'm going to absolutely work my backside off and make sure that I pass that cert and learn it all in a week. But again, that's me. And on the complete flip side, don't do something you think won't work for you. If you think, look, I can do it in a week, maybe give yourself 2. It's not all about speed. The point is, you set a deadline and you're going to work towards it. Some people might do the opposite and set 60 days. So again, they'll probably spend the first month not doing a lot. Second month kind of comes along, they'll start bobbing along. And then by week 2 before the exam, all the work kicks off. In reality, they could probably either do it in 30 or 14 days. But again, the reason you're working so hard is you've now booked the cert, which leads to one of the other points. Think about where you want to sit it. Some exams offer online proctored versions, and some offer in-person, so you actually go to a testing centre. Now look, I'm old school and I like going to a testing centre. In fact, there's one just down the road from me, and I've been going there for years because look, if there's any issues, hand up and I'll come over and help you. It's a nice test environment. Don't have to worry about any noises or where you are. I've only done 2 proctored exams, and I've heard, not horror stories, but I've heard they've sometimes got a bit funny about stuff. And recently with the Terraform one, I had a laptop stand. And you probably hear, like, I'm a big advocate for correct posture. And because I have a laptop up on a stand, and this is a special laptop one, and I had a keyboard and mouse, it was propped up to make sure I was sitting upright, that the invigilator got a bit funny about it. He was asking, well, why have you got this there? Why do you need it? You've got a laptop, keyboard and mouse. And I told him, look, it's accessibility. You can see by the laptop, well, I couldn't show him because I was using it to do 360, but it was propped up. And, it's just things like that that I don't like the inconvenience of. And also you can see I'm in a very plain room. It's not because I'm a minimalist. It's, well, actually kind of is, I don't have much stuff put up. But usually it's the opposite, is my desk will be covered in all sorts of crap. And it's just things like that with online proctors that they don't like. You can't have any notes, got to make sure your desk is clean. It's not so much of an issue, but I have heard they get really funny about pictures. So if you have a partner, they can sometimes get a bit annoyed when you take down all the pictures and they come back and like, where am I? So be careful with it, but also be aware that sometimes they will ask and go, why have you got that picture there? Take it down. Again, with online proctoring, especially now, as I'm filming this during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's pretty much online only. So there's little things I like to be aware of, but you've also got the added benefit is that you can do it from home. And because a lot of it is international as well, I think some places offer 24/7. And here comes a really cool thing, right? You can either sit it before work or after work. Out of the two, I'd probably go before work. So when you've had all the stress, or let's say something goes wrong, P1, and you have to stay late, you don't want to miss that cert, it's lost money. So just do it beforehand. But again, you have that availability. And I probably mentioned in the Terraform exam, just be a bit careful with some of these sites, because what they don't do is use 24-hour exam format. So what you'll see is 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. And you'll see lots of times like that. And, it's so easy. Oh, this must be the first one. That must be the afternoon. And you realize you scroll down a bit more and go, look, I'll book my exam now for 2 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, you're going to be in a world of pain. Unless you want to do it then. So we've covered when to book it. And that's the first thing you should do before you even think about opening up the first page, course, video, whatever for that cert, is book it. Then go ahead and pick whether you want to do it online or in person. And again, this point here, look, I empathize with you. These certs are stressful and you can have a lot of pressure behind you. Think of it this way, especially with consultancy, you might have deadlines. So, your promotion is on the line if you don't get this cert. You may be going for a new job and you have to have it. There can be pressure. Again, just take it easy, relax. And here comes one of the best exam tips I ever heard. They said, when you do your exam, go through and flag a question but never change the answer. It's one of those weird things, but they said a lot of people will actually fail the exam because they'll see an answer in there and they'll go, oh, that sounds right. Then they'll flag it, come back to it, and then go, actually, yeah, I think it's this. And there have been loads of stories of people actually failing exams because they've done exactly that. They've just come back and gone, yep, unmark, 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 swap it around, and they fell, whereas they got the right answer first time round. So that's one of the best tips I've ever heard. And back in 2012, the phrase was YOLO. It was kind of that, pick out, mark out your answer, keep going through. And when you get to the end of the exam, it's like roulette, hit enter and see you pass. But it's a good thing because a lot of the time with the added stress and the pressure and also exam environments, you can sometimes get a bit overwhelmed and you'll start questioning yourself. One of the other things I've heard of as well, and one of these things I completely advise to stay away from, is something called brain dumps. Now, this is where I've heard it's some clandestine operation where people will go ahead, sit the exam. I think the invigilators are in on this as well because they'll turn cameras around and stuff. But people will actually sit the exam. They'll be taking note of word for word what the question is and all the answers, and they'll go through as a group and try and work out, okay, well, this is the most likely. They won't know 100%, but they'll try and work out what the correct answer is. And then what they can do is they put these things up online, and then people can do it, and they say, right, well, just memorize the answers, right? So if you see what color is the sky, and you've got 4 options, you just memorize the answer. Well, it's going to be blue. I mean, look, that's pretty straightforward, right? But if it's something a bit more complex, like Cisco networking, like which command would you use to set up OSPF? And you're like, oh, crap, I never really studied for it. You went through the brain dump. Like, I've never used them. And the reason I say stay clear of them, because if they catch wind, you've been using them. And I've heard they put special measures in the software now. I shouldn't be disclosing this because I've heard other people say this as well, but you can find it online. But it's pretty much if you finish the exam really fast, it's going to raise some eyebrows. Now, I have heard the story of someone who did do this. They did use brain dumps. Didn't know them personally. I just heard it from a story from an instructor. And this person did go ahead, use a brain dump, and like a true Muppet they were, instead of doing something smart, which they wouldn't have used the brain dump in the first place, they raced through the exam. And I think they finished it in it was 90 questions, and they somehow got through in 5 or 10 minutes or something crazy like that, right? It was a really short time. What happens, Pearson VUE, who manage a lot of these exams, they are the preferred invigilator for them and preferred platform. They straight away flagged up and went, excuse me, mate, how the hell did you do that in 10 minutes? We said, oh, really good. So what do they do? Right, booked them in, I think, the next day. So, right, go ahead and do it again. Completely new set of questions, right? Because they got banks, they got thousands of questions. Obviously, when that guy then failed it miserably, they turned around and said, well, you were clearly using a brain dump. And here comes the worst part, right? They caught on that he was using brain dumps. He's barred from doing any certifications. And the real kicker, because Pearson VUE is used by so many companies, he can't take any certifications. So I really don't think it's worth throwing away your entire IT career to go ahead and use a brain dump. It's just, well, literally no-brainer. Don't do it. Learn it. Be an expert, because here comes the next bit, right? You do your brain dump. You then go to your job. You haven't really learned it. You've learned the answers for the exam. Look, I've heard stories from managers where they've had engineers come in CCNA certified, CCIE. I don't think it may have been that level, but it was definitely CCNA. And they came in there and they didn't even know how to turn on the router. Now, look, if you ever do networking training, they'll show you how to plug it in, how to set it up. And this guy was stood there for 30 minutes going, I don't know what to do. He's learned the answers, but he doesn't know how to do it. You'll get caught out. It doesn't matter you have a cert. Yeah, you might have got the job, but he was very quickly fired. So don't do it. Here comes the next bit. Exam rituals, right? I've heard things about this, and it's kind of interesting. Some people have little things they do before they do an exam. Some people say there's some good top tips what you should do, like breathing exercises. Well, I've heard one that's probably quite universal, and pardon the language, apologies for reading. Someone said, just go for a pee. Quickly visit the gents or the ladies, and just go there, empty your bladder just before you go ahead and do the exam. Because what sometimes happens is you drink too much and you go in there, and all of a sudden now you've got added pressure. The other thing you have, and look, this is my personal one, and I'm not sponsored by them, but they should sponsor me because they power the hustle, is I have a can of Monster before my certs. Usually an hour or two beforehand, but I just tend to find that I'm really stressed all the time. Well, I really do get a bit panicky about certs, usually because I think, oh, the pressure, what if I fail? And we're going to cover that in a bit. but I just find the caffeine helps. Like any tiredness, any fatigue, just peak mental alertness, and it seems to be my exam ritual. Can of Monster Ultra is my preferred choice. But yeah, anyway, that is my exam tip. Some people it's a cup of coffee. Some people have like little Lucky Charms, a rub or something. Look, everyone's got their own little thing, but whatever helps you de-stress, get relaxed, and kind of get you in the zone really helps. And here comes some of the final tips. Don't panic about failing the cert. Don't worry about it, because look, it's only a piece of paper or a qualification. Sometimes you need to do it to find out where you're weak at. And look, I've had my first go at doing a certification course, and if you want to talk about pressure, I had nearly 5,000 students waiting for me to actually make this course. So I not only had to pass it, I had to create the material for it as well. And it was a lot of pressure, right? I had people writing on this, and I'm going, okay, look, we've got to get on with it, got to pass it. But truthfully, I said, if I failed, I knew I was weak somewhere. That meant, one, my material wasn't good, and secondly, it meant I needed to improve. I needed to work out how I was going to get better at doing this. Now, when I did it, the material was so good, passed it first time round. I was confident when I went in there, way over prepared with the material. And if you want to check out the course for the Terraform exam, you can check out the link below, and you can go ahead and add another certification to your belt. But a key point to stress here is don't panic. If you fail, it means maybe go back, look at the drawing board. Where did you fail? Normally the exams at the end, they'll give you some sort of printouts, and they'll say, okay, well, you may have failed in these areas. It'll tell you where you're weak, and you can then go ahead and improve on it. And now you've done it once, you kind of know what to expect. Now, with a lot of these sets, they're quite interesting. So some of them are multiple choice, which is personally my preferred choice to go with, because I just find it easier. I can go through it. The different options are very limited, so there's less to kind of panic about. I think when you do more of a practical side of certs, like the CKA, which is one I'm planning to do soon, or probably by the time you're watching this, I may have already sat and passed. It's practical based, and I don't know about you, that just scares the living whatever out of me. So it's going to be something I'm going to have to contend with. But again, I'll look through it. If I fail, it means I need to improve somewhere, or sometimes just doing it once lets me know what I need to prepare for. There may be some little hidden tip or trick or something about the process in there that I just wouldn't have been aware of first time round. And like with the CKA, they give you a free retake, which almost makes you think they expect you to fail first time round, and then second time you're going to pass it. So again, little things like that, just take it easy, don't worry about it. Now we're going to wrap up with the final tips. One of them is pick the time you want to sit it. Now we all hear about circadian rhythms where you can be a morning person or a night owl. And again, really play to your strengths here. I know for me, usually between 11 and 2 o'clock is like my peak mental alertness. So the last thing I want to do is assert at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night. And usually a lot of them, especially the AWS ones, you have an option of 9:30 or 1:30. Ideally, I would have done it earlier, like 12 o'clock or something, but look, pick the time that works for you, especially if you're doing online and proctored. Pick a time that works for you when you think, if I were to do something right now that needs to be at peak mental alertness, when are you going to do it? If you have lunch every day at 1 o'clock, probably not a good idea to book it at 1 because your body's instinctively going to go, it's food time, stomach rumbling, blood sugar, it's going to be a nightmare. So pick a time that works for you. And lastly, here comes the final tip. When you pass your cert, and that's not an if, it's when, because you're awesome and you're smart and you're going to nail it first time round, enjoy the rest of the day off. Normally, if you have to do it in person or proctored, it's probably going to be during the week, like Monday to Friday. If you can get the day off, do it and enjoy the rest of it off. Celebrate, whether you want to have a beer, slice of cake, maybe a hamburger or something. Relax, enjoy it, you've earned it. Just take the day off and relax. If you're doing it on a weekend, same thing applies. Once you're finished, close your laptop and enjoy the rest of the day off. You've earned it, you've nailed the exam, and now it's time to let off a bit of steam. Just relax and feel proud that you succeeded first time round. So there we go. Those are my certification tips. If you've got any more, let me know in the comments, and all the best with your certifications. I hope this video has helped, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.